Sam was 12 years old when his life changed forever. He lived in a small town called Millbrook, where nothing exciting ever happened. The town had one school, one shop, and one road that led out to the highway. People in Millbrook woke up, went to work, came home, and went to sleep. Every day was the same. Sam hated it. He lived with his grandmother, Rosa. She was a kind woman with white hair and a soft voice. She made the best soup in the whole town, and she told the best stories too. Every night before bed, she would sit in her old chair and tell Sam about faraway places, about kings and queens, about monsters hiding in dark forests, and about brave people who saved the world. Sam loved those stories more than anything. But there was one story Rosa never finished. It was the story about the door in the mountain. She told him about it only once, on a cold winter night when the wind was shaking the windows. She said that long ago, before the town was built, there was a mountain at the edge of the valley. The mountain had no name. People were afraid of it. They said strange lights came from it at night. They said animals would not go near it. And they said that somewhere on the side of that mountain there was a door. Not a normal door, not a door made of wood or metal. It was a door made of stone, and it was carved right into the rock. No one knew who made it. No one knew when it was made. And no one knew what was behind it. Sam had asked his grandmother what was behind the door. She looked at him for a long time. Her eyes were serious. Then she shook her head and said, "Some doors are not meant to be opened, Sam." She never talked about it again. That was 2 years ago. Sam had not forgotten the story. He thought about it all the time. He thought about it when he walked to school. He thought about it when he sat in class. He thought about it when he lay in bed at night, staring at the ceiling. The door in the mountain. What was behind it? One Saturday morning in October, Sam decided he was going to find out. He packed a small bag with a bottle of water, 2 sandwiches, a flashlight, and a rope. He did not tell his grandmother where he was going. He just said he was going to play outside. She smiled and told him to be home before dark. He said he would. The mountain was about 3 miles from the town. There was no path leading to it. Sam had to walk through open fields and then through a thick forest. The trees were tall, and their leaves were turning red and gold. The air smelled like wet earth and old wood. Sam walked fast. His heart was beating hard in his chest. He was excited and scared at the same time. It took him almost 2 hours to reach the base of the mountain. It was bigger than he expected. It rose up from the ground like a giant wall of gray rock. There were no trees on it. There was no grass, just stone and dirt and silence. Sam stood there and looked up. The top of the mountain disappeared into the clouds. He started walking around the base, looking for anything that looked like a door. He walked for a long time. His legs hurt. His water bottle was half empty. The sun moved across the sky. He was starting to think that maybe his grandmother had made the whole thing up. Maybe there was no door. Maybe it was just a story. Then he saw it. It was on the north side of the mountain, hidden behind a large pile of fallen rocks. At first, he thought it was just a shadow on the wall. But when he got closer, he could see it clearly. It was a door, a real door, carved right into the stone of the mountain. Sam stopped walking. He stood there and stared at it. His mouth was open. His hands were shaking. The door was about 7 feet tall and 4 feet wide. It had no handle. It had no lock. There were strange marks carved all around it. They were not letters. They were not pictures. They were something else. Something Sam had never seen before. The marks were deep and smooth, as if someone had used a very sharp tool to carve them a very long time ago. Sam reached out his hand and touched the door. The stone was cold, colder than it should have been. It was October, but it was not that cold outside. The stone felt like ice. Sam pulled his hand back quickly. He looked around. He was alone. There was no sound except the wind. No birds, no insects, nothing, just the wind and the mountain and the door. Sam took a deep breath. He put both hands on the door and pushed. Nothing happened. He pushed harder. Still nothing. The door did not move. It was solid rock. Sam stepped back and looked at it again. Maybe it was not a real door. Maybe it was just a carving. Maybe someone had carved a door shape into the mountain as a joke. But then he noticed something. One of the strange marks near the bottom of the door was glowing. It was very faint, just a tiny bit of light, like a firefly trapped inside the stone. Sam got down on his knees and looked at it closely. The mark was shaped like a circle with a line through it. And it was definitely glowing. A soft, blue light. Sam touched the mark with his finger. The moment he did, the light got brighter. Then all the other marks started glowing too. One by one they lit up with blue light. The light spread across the whole door. The stone began to vibrate under his hand. Sam could feel it in his bones. A low, deep sound came from inside the mountain. It was like a heartbeat. Sam jumped back. The door was changing. The solid stone was becoming thinner, lighter, almost like glass. He could see something behind it. It was dark, but there was a faint light deep inside, a warm, golden light, and there was air coming from behind the door. It smelled like flowers and rain, and something sweet that Sam could not name. The door was opening, not swinging open like a normal door. The stone was simply disappearing, like fog burning away in the morning sun. In a few seconds, there was no door at all. There was just an opening, a tunnel leading into the mountain. Sam stood at the entrance and looked inside. The tunnel went straight for about 20 feet and then turned to the left. The walls were smooth. The golden light was coming from somewhere deeper inside. The warm air kept flowing out, touching Sam's face like a gentle hand. He knew he should go home. He knew his grandmother would worry. He knew that going inside a strange tunnel in a mountain was probably the most dangerous thing he could do. Every part of his brain was telling him to turn around and run. But his feet would not move backward. They would only move forward. Sam took one last look at the sky behind him. The sun was getting lower. He had maybe 3 hours of daylight left. He turned on his flashlight, took a deep breath, and walked into the mountain. The moment he stepped inside, the door appeared again behind him. The stone came back, solid and cold and real. Sam spun around and pushed against it. It would not move. He was trapped inside. He was alone in the dark, inside a mountain, with no way out. And somewhere deep below him, he could hear something moving. Sam pressed his back against the stone door and tried not to panic. His flashlight made a small circle of light on the tunnel floor. The walls around him were smooth and gray. The air was warm, and it still smelled sweet. But now that he was trapped, the sweetness felt wrong. It felt like a trick. He stood there for a full minute, listening. The sound he had heard before, the sound of something moving deep below, had stopped. Now there was only silence. Complete silence. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Sam told himself to calm down. He told himself to think. The door had closed behind him. He could not go back, so he had to go forward. Maybe there was another way out. Maybe the tunnel led somewhere. Maybe it came out on the other side of the mountain. He had to try. He started walking. His footsteps echoed off the walls. The tunnel was about 6 feet wide and 7 feet tall, just big enough for a grown man to walk through without bending down. The floor was flat and smooth. Someone had built this tunnel. Someone had carved it out of solid rock. It must have taken years. The tunnel went straight for a while, and then turned to the left, just as Sam had seen from outside. After the turn, it started going downward. Not steeply, but enough that Sam could feel the ground sloping under his feet. He was going deeper into the mountain. The golden light he had seen from outside was getting stronger. It was coming from somewhere ahead. Sam turned off his flashlight to save the battery, and found that he could still see. The light was coming from the walls themselves. Thin lines of gold ran through the stone like veins in a leaf. They were not carved. They were not painted. They were part of the rock, and they were glowing. Sam touched one of the golden lines. It was warm, not hot, just warm, like skin in the sun. He could feel a gentle pulse in it, like a heartbeat. Or something inside it was. He kept walking. The tunnel went down and down. Sam lost track of time. He could not see the sky. He did not have a watch. He just walked and tried not to think about what his grandmother would say when he did not come home for dinner. After what felt like an hour, the tunnel opened up into a large cave. Sam stopped at the entrance and stared. The cave was enormous. It was as big as a football field, and the ceiling was so high that Sam could not see it. The golden light was much stronger here. It came from thousands of those thin golden lines in the walls and floor and ceiling. They crisscrossed everywhere, making patterns that looked almost like writing. But that was not the most amazing thing. The most amazing thing was what was in the middle of the cave. There was a tree. A real living tree, growing right out of the stone floor. It was the biggest tree Sam had ever seen. Its trunk was as wide as a house. Its branches spread out in all directions, reaching up toward the invisible ceiling. And its leaves were not green. They were gold, real gold, bright and shining, catching the light from the walls and throwing it everywhere. Sam walked toward the tree slowly. The ground around it was covered with soft moss. Actual green moss, growing in a cave deep inside a mountain with no sunlight. Small white flowers grew among the moss. Water trickled from somewhere and collected in a small pool near the base of the tree. The water was clear and still. Sam reached the tree and put his hand on its trunk. The bark was warm and rough. He could feel that same heartbeat he had felt in the wall. It was stronger here. The tree was the source of it. The tree was the heart of the mountain. He looked up into the branches. Something was hanging from one of the lower branches. It was a small object, about the size of a tennis ball, and it was glowing with a soft white light. Sam reached up and touched it. It was smooth and round and warm. It felt like a stone, but lighter, much lighter. Almost like it was made of air. The moment Sam touched it, something happened. The white light from the object got very bright, so bright that Sam had to close his eyes. When he opened them again, he was not alone. A girl was standing on the other side of the tree. She was about Sam's age, maybe a year older. She had dark hair that reached her shoulders and dark eyes that watched Sam carefully. She was wearing simple clothes, a brown shirt and brown pants, and she had no shoes. Her feet were bare on the moss. Sam took a step back. "Who are you?" he said. His voice sounded strange in the cave, too loud and too small at the same time. The girl did not answer right away. She looked at Sam's hand, which was still near the glowing object on the branch. Then she looked at his face. "You should not have touched that." Her voice was calm but serious. "Who are you?" Sam asked again. "My name is Lyra," she said. "I live here." "You live inside a mountain?" "I live inside this mountain, yes." She walked around the tree toward him. Her steps were silent on the moss. "How did you get in?" "The door," Sam said. "The stone door on the north side. I touched one of the marks, and it opened." Lyra's eyes went wide. "The door opened for you?" "Yes, but then it closed behind me. I am trapped." Lyra shook her head slowly. "The door does not open for everyone. It only opens for people who are connected to this place, people whose blood carries the old mark. She looked at Sam very carefully, as if she was trying to see something inside him. Who are you? What is your family name? Sam Torres. Something changed in Lyra's face. Her serious look became something else. Surprise. Or maybe fear. Torres, she repeated. Rosa Torres. Is she your family? Sam felt his stomach drop. She is my grandmother. How do you know her name? Lyra did not answer. She turned away from Sam and walked to the pool of water near the tree. She knelt down and looked at her reflection. Sam could see that her hands were shaking. Lyra, Sam said, how do you know my grandmother? Because she was the last person to come through that door, Lyra said quietly. That was 40 years ago. She was young then. Younger than you. Lyra looked up at Sam. She made a promise when she left. She promised she would come back. She never did. Sam did not know what to say. His grandmother had been here, inside this mountain. She had stood where Sam was standing now. She had seen this tree, this cave, this girl. But that was impossible. If Lyra had met his grandmother 40 years ago, Lyra would be old now. She would not look like a 12-year-old girl. How old are you? Sam asked. Lyra smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Time does not work the same way in here, she said. Out there, 40 years have passed. In here, it has been maybe 4 or 5 years. I was 7 when your grandmother came. Now, I am 12. Sam sat down on the moss. His legs felt weak. This was too much. A magic door, a golden tree inside a mountain. A girl who had met his grandmother 40 years ago and had barely aged. He felt like he was dreaming, but the moss was real under his hands. The warm air was real on his face. The heartbeat of the tree was real in his chest. Why did my grandmother come here? He asked. For the same reason you did, Lyra said. Because the mountain called her, because she carries the old blood, and because something terrible is coming, and only a Torres can stop it. Something terrible? What do you mean? Lyra stood up and pointed toward the far end of the cave. Sam looked. There was another tunnel there, darker than the one he had come through. No golden light came from it. Instead, there was a faint gray mist drifting out of it, like smoke from a dead fire. Down there, Lyra said, deep below us, there is something locked away, something old and dangerous. Your grandmother came to keep it locked. She did something, I do not know what, but the lock is weakening. I can feel it. The tree can feel it. That is why the door opened for you. The mountain needs help again. Sam looked at the dark tunnel. The gray mist moved slowly, like something breathing. He could feel cold air coming from it, mixing with the warm air from the tree. It made his skin crawl. What is down there? He whispered. Lyra looked at him. Her dark eyes were full of something that Sam recognized. It was the same look his grandmother had when she told him about the door. It was fear. I do not know exactly what it is, she said. But I know what it does. It eats light, it eats warmth, it eats life. And if it gets out, it will not stop until everything above us is gone. Sam sat under the golden tree for a long time. He did not speak. He did not move. He just sat there and tried to understand everything Lyra had told him. A monster, locked deep under the mountain. A lock that was breaking. His grandmother had come here 40 years ago to fix it, and now the mountain had called Sam to do the same thing. It was too much for a 12-year-old boy who had woken up that morning thinking he was just going on a small adventure. Lyra sat across from him, her back against the trunk of the tree. She was watching him with patient eyes. She seemed used to waiting. Sam thought about what it must be like to live alone inside a mountain for years with no one to talk to. He wondered if she ever got lonely. He wondered if she ever got scared. "What did my grandmother do when she was here?" Sam finally asked. Lyra closed her eyes, remembering. "She was brave," Lyra said. "Braver than anyone I have ever seen. She came through the door, just like you did. She was 10 years old. She was scared, but she did not run. The tree showed her what to do." "The tree showed her?" "Yes, the tree is not just a tree. It is a keeper. It holds the memory of everything that has happened in this mountain since the beginning. If you touch it the right way, it will show you things. It showed your grandmother how to go down into the deep place and fix the lock." Sam looked at the tree. Its golden leaves moved gently, even though there was no wind in the cave. The heartbeat in the trunk was steady and strong. Sam felt like the tree was watching him, the same way Lyra was, waiting to see what he would do. "Can it show me too?" Sam asked. "It can, but you have to be ready. What it shows you will not be easy to see." Sam stood up. He walked to the tree and placed both hands flat on the bark. It was warm and alive under his palms. He closed his eyes. At first, nothing happened. Then the heartbeat got stronger. Sam could feel it moving up through his hands, into his arms, into his chest. It mixed with his own heartbeat until he could not tell them apart. The warmth spread through his whole body, and then the pictures came. They came fast and bright, like a movie playing at double speed. Sam saw the mountain as it was a long, long time ago. He saw people building the tunnel and the cave. They were tall people, with dark skin and serious faces. They wore white clothes, and they carried tools made of a metal Sam had never seen before. It shined like silver, but it glowed like the golden lines in the walls. He saw them find something deep under the mountain, a crack in the earth, and from that crack, darkness was pouring out. Not normal darkness. This darkness moved. It had shape. It had hunger. It reached out like hands and grabbed at anything alive. The plants near it turned black and died. The animals ran. Even the stone around it cracked and crumbled. The people were afraid, but they did not run. They brought the tree. Sam saw them carry a tiny seedling, no bigger than his hand, down into the mountain. They planted it in the cave, and they sang to it. They sang for days and weeks and months. The tree grew. It grew fast, much faster than any normal tree. Its roots went deep into the stone. Its branches reached up toward the surface, and from its trunk, golden light poured out like water. The light pushed the darkness back. It pushed it down, deep into the crack. And then the people used the tree's power to build a lock. Not a lock made of metal and keys. A lock made of light and sound and something else. Something that Sam could feel but could not name. It was like love or courage or hope. Something human, something alive. The lock held. The darkness was trapped. The people were safe. But they knew the lock would not last forever. It needed to be renewed. Every generation, someone with the right blood had to come to the mountain and strengthen the lock. If they did not, the lock would break and the darkness would escape. Sam saw his grandmother. She was young, just a child, with the same kind eyes she had now. She walked through the cave with her small hands touching the walls. She went down into the deep place, down a long stairway carved into the rock. At the bottom, there was a chamber. And in the chamber, there was the lock. Sam could see it. It was a circle of golden light floating in the air above the crack. The light was dim. It was flickering, like a candle about to go out. Below it, in the crack, the darkness was pushing upward. It was testing the light, pressing against it, looking for weakness. His grandmother put her hands into the golden light. Sam could feel what she felt. Pain. Terrible pain, like putting your hands into fire. But she did not pull back. She poured something into the light. Her strength. her courage, her love for the world above. The light got brighter. It got stronger. The darkness pulled back, away from the light, back down into the deep crack. The lock was renewed. But it cost her something. When she pulled her hands back, they were shaking. Her face was pale. She looked older than she had before, even though she was still just a child. She had given part of herself to the lock. The pictures stopped. Sam opened his eyes. He was back in the cave, his hands on the tree. Tears were running down his face. He had felt everything his grandmother had felt. The fear, the pain, the terrible weight of being the only person who could do this. He understood now why she never talked about it. He understood why she told him that some doors are not meant to be opened. She was not keeping a secret. She was trying to protect him. "Now you know," Lyra said softly. Sam wiped his face with his sleeve. She gave part of herself to the lock. That is why she looks so old now, even though she is not that old. Lyra nodded. The lock takes something from whoever fixes it. That is the price. And now the lock is breaking again. Yes, I can feel the darkness pushing. The golden lines in the walls are getting dimmer. The tree is getting weaker. We do not have much time. Sam looked at the dark tunnel at the far end of the cave. The gray mist was thicker now than it had been when he first arrived. It was creeping across the floor of the cave like a living thing. Where it touched the moss, the green turned brown. Where it touched the white flowers, they closed and wilted. "How much time do we have?" Sam asked. "Days, maybe less." Sam thought about his grandmother sitting in her old chair at home. He thought about Millbrook, with its one school and one shop and one road. He thought about all the people who had no idea that a mountain 3 miles away was the only thing standing between them and something that wanted to eat every bit of life on the surface. He thought about running. He wanted to run. He was 12 years old. He was scared. He did not want to feel the pain his grandmother had felt. He did not want to give part of himself to a lock made of light. But if he didn't do it, who would? His grandmother was old now. She had already given what she could give. There was no one else. The tree had not called anyone else. The door had not opened for anyone else. Just Sam. "I will do it," he said. Lyra looked at him. She did not smile. She did not cheer. She just nodded, the way someone nods when they know something is going to be hard, and there is no way around it. "You will need to rest first," she said. "Eat something. Drink from the pool. The water here is special. It will give you strength." Sam walked to the pool and knelt down. The water was perfectly clear. He could see the bottom, which was covered with small golden stones. He cupped his hands and drank. The water was cool and sweet. The moment it touched his lips, he felt warmth spreading through his body. His tired legs felt better. His fear did not go away, but it became smaller, more manageable, like a stone in his pocket instead of a boulder on his back. He ate one of his sandwiches and gave the other one to Lyra. She took it carefully, as if she had never seen a sandwich before. She bit into it, and her eyes went wide. "This is good," she said with her mouth full. "What is it?" "Peanut butter and jelly. I have not eaten anything but cave mushrooms and root water for years." Here he was, deep inside a magic mountain, about to fight an ancient darkness, and he was sharing a peanut butter sandwich with a girl who had not seen the sun in years. It was so strange that it was almost funny. Almost. Lyra finished the sandwich and stood up. She looked toward the dark tunnel. The mist was still creeping closer. The golden lines in the floor near the tunnel were going dark, one by one, like lights being turned off. "We should go soon," she said, "before it gets worse." Sam stood up too. He looked at the tree one more time. Its golden leaves shimmered. Its heartbeat was steady. It was counting on him. Everything was counting on him. "Okay," Sam said. "Show me the way." Lyra led Sam to the dark tunnel at the far end of the cave. Up close, the gray mist was even worse than it looked from a distance. It was cold and thick, and it had a smell. Not a bad smell exactly, but an empty smell. Like a room that had been closed for 100 years. Like a place where nothing had lived for a very long time. Sam turned on his flashlight, but the beam seemed weaker in the mist. The light only reached a few feet ahead. Beyond that, there was nothing but gray and darkness. "Stay close to me," Lyra said. "Do not touch the walls in this part of the tunnel. The darkness has been seeping into the stone. If you touch it, it will try to get inside your head." "What do you mean, get inside my head?" "It will show you things, bad things, things that make you want to give up, things that make you feel like nothing matters. It feeds on sadness and fear. The more afraid you are, the stronger it gets." Sam swallowed hard. He had been afraid since the door closed behind him. But he kept walking. He kept putting one foot in front of the other, following Lyra into the darkness. The tunnel went down steeply. There were stairs carved into the rock, just like the tree had shown him. The stairs were narrow and uneven. Some of them were cracked. Some were covered with a thin layer of ice, which made no sense because the air had been warm near the tree. Down here, the temperature was dropping fast. Sam could see his breath. His fingers were getting numb. They walked down the stairs for a long time. Sam tried counting the steps, but he lost count after 300. The golden lines in the walls were almost completely dark here. Only a few still glowed, and their light was weak and flickering. The gray mist was everywhere. It pressed against Sam's skin like cold, wet cloth. Then something happened that made Sam stop. It was quiet, almost like a whisper, and it was coming from the walls. No, not from the walls, from inside his head. The voice said his name. Sam, Sam, Sam. It was not Lyra's voice. It was not his grandmother's voice. It was nobody's voice. It was the voice of nothing. Empty and flat and cold. "You are wasting your time," the voice said. "You cannot fix the lock. You are just a boy. A small, stupid, scared boy. Go back. Sit down. Give up." Sam shook his head. "Get out of my head," he said out loud. Lyra looked back at him. "It is talking to you?" she asked. "Yes. Do not listen. Whatever it says, it is lying. That is all it knows how to do." Sam nodded and kept walking. But the voice did not stop. It kept whispering. It said things that hurt. It said his parents had left him because they did not love him. It said his grandmother was tired of taking care of him. It said no one in Millbrook would notice if he never came back. He was nobody. He did not matter. Sam felt tears building in his eyes. He knew the voice was lying. He knew it, but the words still hurt. They found the weak places inside him, the places where he already had doubts, the places where he sometimes wondered if the things the voice was saying were true. He thought about his grandmother. He thought about the way she smiled when he came home from school. He thought about the way she tucked him in at night and kissed his forehead. He thought about the soup she made and the stories she told. She loved him. He knew she loved him. That was real. That was true. The voice got quieter. Not gone, but quieter. Sam held on to the thought of his grandmother's love like a rope in the dark. They reached the bottom of the stairs. There was a short passage, and then it opened into the chamber. The chamber from the tree's vision. Sam recognized it immediately. It was round, about 30 feet across, with a high ceiling that disappeared into blackness. The walls were covered with the same strange marks that had been on the door outside. But down here, the marks were not glowing. They were dead, gray and lifeless. In the center of the chamber, floating in the air, was the lock. Sam's heart sank when he saw it. In the vision, the lock had been a circle of golden light, dim but still there. Now it was barely visible. It was not a circle anymore. It was a broken ring, with gaps in it like missing teeth. The golden light was almost gone. What was left was thin and pale, like the last bit of sunset before night takes over. Below the lock, the crack in the earth was wider than it had been in the vision. It was about 3 feet across now, a jagged black line in the stone floor, and from the crack, darkness was pouring out. Not mist this time, actual darkness. It moved like liquid, like thick black oil, spreading across the floor of the chamber. It climbed the walls, it reached for the ceiling, and in the darkness, Sam could see shapes. Not clear shapes, just suggestions. A hand here, a face there, eyes that opened and closed, mouths that smiled with teeth made of shadow. The cold was terrible. Sam could not feel his fingers or his toes. His breath came out in white clouds. His flashlight flickered and died. The only light left was the faint golden glow of the broken lock. "We are almost too late," Lyra said. Her voice was shaking. She was scared too. For the first time since Sam had met her, she looked like a scared 12-year-old girl. Sam looked at the lock. He had to touch it. He had to put his hands in that golden light and pour himself into it, just like his grandmother had done. But looking at it now, broken and dying, he wondered if he had enough. His grandmother had been special. She had been brave and strong. Sam was just Sam. A boy who ate peanut butter sandwiches and got bored in school and lived in a town where nothing ever happened. The voice came back, louder now. "You see? You are nothing. The lock is already broken. You cannot fix it. No one can fix it. Just sit down, close your eyes, let it end. It will be easier that way." Sam's knees felt weak. He wanted to sit down. He wanted to close his eyes. The voice was so convincing. Maybe it was right. Maybe he could not do this. Maybe it was already too late. Then Lyra did something unexpected. She took his hand. Her hand was small and cold, but her grip was strong. Sam looked at her. She was looking at him with those dark, serious eyes. "I have been alone in this mountain for a long time," she said. "I was scared every day. Every day I thought about giving up, but I did not. Do you know why?" Sam shook his head. "Because giving up means the darkness wins, and the darkness does not deserve to win. It has never created anything. It has never loved anything. It has never built anything. All it does is destroy. And I decided a long time ago that I would not let something that can only destroy be the thing that decides how the story ends." Sam looked at her. Then he looked at the broken lock. Then he looked at the darkness pouring from the crack, with its shadow hands and shadow faces and shadow smiles. He squeezed Lyra's hand. "Stay here," he said. "I am going to fix it." He let go of her hand and walked toward the lock. The darkness on the floor moved away from his feet, just slightly, as if it could sense something in him that it did not like. Sam kept walking until he was standing right in front of the crack, right below the broken ring of golden light. He reached up and put his hands into the light. The pain hit him like a wave. It was exactly what he had felt in the tree's vision, but 100 times worse. It was like every part of his body was on fire and freezing at the same time. He screamed. He could not help it. The sound echoed off the walls, and the darkness seemed to laugh. But Sam did not pull his hands back. He thought about his grandmother. He thought about Lyra. He thought about Millbrook. He thought about the sun and the sky and the smell of autumn leaves. He thought about everything good and warm and alive in the world. And he pushed all of it into the light. The golden ring flickered. One of the gaps closed. The light got a tiny bit brighter. The darkness pulled back, just an inch. Sam pushed harder. More memories, more feelings. The taste of his grandmother's soup. The sound of rain on the roof. The feeling of grass under his bare feet in summer. the way the stars looked from his bedroom window. Everything he had ever loved, everything he had ever felt grateful for, he pushed it all into the lock. Another gap closed, and another. The ring was becoming whole again. The golden light was growing. The darkness was retreating, sliding back toward the crack like water going down a drain. But the pain was getting worse. Sam could feel himself getting weaker. He could feel something leaving him. Not memories, not exactly. Something deeper. Like his warmth was being pulled out of him. Like his life was draining through his hands and into the light. He understood now what his grandmother had meant. The lock did not just take your strength. It took a piece of your soul. Sam's vision was going dark around the edges. His legs were shaking. He could not hold on much longer. The ring was almost complete, but there was still one gap left, one last piece missing, and Sam had almost nothing left to give. Then he heard a sound behind him. Footsteps. Small, bare feet on stone. Lyra put her hands next to his, into the golden light. She screamed too, but she held on. Together, they poured everything they had into the lock, and the last gap closed. The golden ring blazed with light so bright that Sam could see it through his closed eyelids. The whole chamber was filled with it. Every mark on the walls came alive again, burning with golden fire. The darkness screamed. It was not a human scream. It was the sound of something ancient and hungry being forced back into its cage. The black liquid pulled away from the walls and the floor. The shadow hands reached out one last time, clawing at the air, and then they were sucked down into the crack, like smoke being pulled through a chimney. The crack in the earth began to close. The stone moved slowly, grinding against itself, sealing the gap, inch by inch. The golden light from the lock poured down into the crack like liquid gold, filling every space, hardening, becoming part of the stone. The last inch closed with a sound like a heavy door slamming shut. Then there was silence. Sam fell. His legs gave out, and he dropped to the floor of the chamber. His hands slid out of the golden light. He lay on his back on the cold stone, staring up at the ceiling. He could not move. He could barely breathe. Every part of his body felt empty, like someone had scooped out his insides and left just the shell. Lyra was lying next to him. Her eyes were closed. Her face was pale, almost white. Her breathing was shallow and fast. Sam wanted to reach out and check if she was okay, but his arms would not obey him. They lay there for a long time. Minutes or hours, Sam could not tell. The golden light from the lock was steady and strong now, a perfect unbroken ring floating above the sealed crack. It hummed softly, a low and peaceful sound, like a mother singing to her baby. The marks on the walls pulsed gently with warm light. The gray mist was gone. The cold was gone. The air was warm again, and it smelled like flowers. Slowly, Sam began to feel things coming back to him. First his fingers, then his hands, then his arms. His head was spinning, but the emptiness inside him was fading. It was not gone completely. He could feel a hollow space in his chest that had not been there before. Something was missing. Something he had given to the lock. He would never get it back. But he was alive, and the lock was fixed. He turned to Lyra. She was still lying on the floor. Her eyes were still closed. Sam's heart jumped with fear. He reached over and shook her shoulder gently. "Lyra, Lyra, wake up!" She did not move. "Lyra, please." He shook her harder. Her head rolled to the side. She was so pale. Sam put his hand in front of her mouth and felt the tiniest breath against his skin. She was alive, but barely. Sam did not think. He picked Lyra up. She was lighter than he expected, light as a child much younger than 12. He carried her out of the chamber and up the stairs. His legs were shaking. His body was screaming at him to stop, to rest, to lie down and sleep. But he did not stop. He carried Lyra up every one of those hundreds of steps, through the tunnel where the golden lines were now burning bright again, and back into the great cave with the tree. He laid Lyra down on the moss near the pool. He cupped water in his hands and poured it gently over her lips. Some of it ran down her chin. Some of it went into her mouth. He did it again and again. On the fourth try, Lyra coughed. Her eyes opened. They were unfocused at first, looking at nothing. Then they found Sam's face. "Did it work?" she whispered. "It worked," Sam said. "The lock is fixed. The darkness is sealed." Lyra closed her eyes again, but this time she was smiling. A real smile. The first real smile Sam had seen on her face. She looked like a different person when she smiled. She looked like a kid. Just a normal kid who had been carrying something too heavy for too long and had finally put it down. Sam sat next to her and leaned against the trunk of the golden tree. Its heartbeat was strong and steady, stronger than before. The tree was happy. Sam could feel it. The golden leaves above him rustled and swayed, and tiny flakes of golden light drifted down like snow, landing on his hair and his shoulders and melting into nothing. He did not know how long he sat there. At some point, he fell asleep. He dreamed about sunlight and green grass and his grandmother's kitchen. He dreamed about the sound of birds and the smell of bread baking. Simple things, good things, things he had never appreciated enough before. When he woke up, Lyra was sitting next to him. She had color in her face again. She was eating cave mushrooms from a small pile in her lap. They tasted like dirt, but he ate them anyway because he was so hungry that he did not care. "We need to get you out of here," Lyra said. "Your grandmother will be worried. What about you?" Lyra looked around the cave, at the tree, at the golden walls, at the small pool of water. This had been her home for years, the only home she remembered. "Someone needs to stay and watch the lock," she said. "That has always been the way." "No," Sam said. The word came out of his mouth before he could think about it. "No, you are not staying here alone, not anymore." "Sam, I have to, if no one watches the lock." "The lock is strong now. We made it strong. You felt it. It will hold for a long time." Sam stood up and held out his hand. "You have been in this mountain long enough. Come with me. Come see the sun. Come eat real food. Come meet my grandmother. She would want to see you." Lyra stared at his hand, her eyes filled with tears. She blinked them away quickly, but Sam saw them. She was afraid, not of the darkness or the lock. She was afraid of the outside world. She had been underground so long that the idea of leaving felt bigger and scarier than anything in the deep chamber. "What if the door does not open from the inside?" she asked. "It will open. The mountain let me in. It will let us out." Lyra looked at his hand for another long moment. Then she reached out and took it. Sam pulled her to her feet. She was shaking, but she was standing. They walked together through the tunnel that led back to the surface. The golden lines in the walls lit their way. The air got cooler as they climbed. Sam could feel the mountain around them, and he could feel something from it. Gratitude. The mountain was grateful. When they reached the stone door, Sam put his hand on it. The marks lit up with blue light, just like before. The stone became thin, then transparent, then gone. Sunlight poured in. Lyra gasped. She covered her eyes with her hands. The light was too bright for her. She had not seen the sun in years. Sam put his arm around her shoulder and guided her forward, slowly, one step at a time. They stepped out of the mountain. The sun was low in the sky, painting everything orange and gold. The forest below them was a sea of red and yellow leaves. Birds were singing. The wind was blowing, carrying the smell of pine and cool earth. It was the most beautiful thing Sam had ever seen. He had seen it 1,000 times before, but he had never really seen it. Not like this, not knowing how close it had all come to ending. Lyra stood beside him, with tears streaming down her face. She was looking at the sky with her mouth open. She was looking at the trees and the birds and the clouds. She reached down and touched the grass with her bare toes. It was a small, broken laugh, like something that had been locked away for a long time, and was just now finding its way out. "It is beautiful," she said. "Yeah," Sam said, "it is." They walked down the mountain together. It was getting dark by the time they reached Millbrook. The lights in the houses were on. Sam could see the warm glow of his grandmother's kitchen window from the end of the street. When they reached the front door, Sam's grandmother opened it before he could knock. She had been waiting. Her face was lined with worry. She started to say something, probably something about how late it was and how worried she had been. But then she saw Lyra. Rosa Torres went very still. Her hand gripped the edge of the door. Her eyes went wide. She looked at Lyra, and Lyra looked at her, and something passed between them that Sam could not fully understand. A memory shared across 40 years, and a mountain and a golden tree. "Hello, Rosa," Lyra said quietly. Sam's grandmother's eyes filled with tears. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Lyra, holding her tight, the way you hold something precious that you thought you had lost forever. "I am sorry," Rosa whispered. "I am so sorry I never came back." "It is okay," Lyra said. "Someone came." Rosa looked at Sam over Lyra's shoulder. She reached out and pulled him into the hug too. The three of them stood there in the doorway, holding each other, while the last light of the sun faded behind the mountain. That night, Sam's grandmother made enough soup for 3. They sat at the small kitchen table and ate together. Lyra ate 4 bowls. Sam ate 3. Rosa watched them both with eyes that were full of love and pride and something else. The kind of relief that only comes when a weight you have carried for 40 years is finally lifted. Sam looked at Lyra across the table. She was smiling again. That real smile. She had soup on her chin, and she was holding her spoon wrong, and she was looking around the kitchen like everything in it was magic. And maybe it was. Maybe a warm kitchen and a bowl of soup and people who cared about you was the most powerful magic there was. Outside, in the distance, the mountain stood dark and silent against the stars. Deep inside it, the golden tree pulsed with steady light. The lock held strong. The darkness slept. And in a small house in Millbrook, a boy, a girl, and an old woman ate soup and told stories and laughed. And for the first time in a very long time, everything was exactly as it should be.